Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey.
Welcome back. We've got Christian, he's the regional sales manager here at Dead Air Silencers. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. Now, what you don't know behind the scenes, and I'm going to totally talk about it, is that we've already...
Don't do it.
We've had technology problems. Now, I'm going to make it sound like we've never had this conversation at all. So,
gosh.
Christian, thanks for round two.
Yes, this is 45 minutes. We've been trying to get set up just on this take.
Yes, yeah. So we have invested way too much time into this podcast. If this doesn't come to light and we're the only people to hear it, then too bad.
Yes, we will have some great stories to tell.
For sure. So, okay, I know we talked about something. Again, I'm going to try to pretend like we never talked about any of this. For people listening to the first time, I would love to walk through how you kind of ended up in the firearms world. Was it intentional? Was it by mistake? But how did you get here?
You know what? I think it was a mistake. I was in law enforcement since I was like 18 and a half. I was really young, like one of the youngest people to ever go through, and got in with the state police in Louisiana. I was in Louisiana, and I was a trooper forever. And then I went overseas and did some contract work with some companies. And when I get home, I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I've got to have a job, right? I had all this money saved up, and I was having fun, and I need a career. So I actually tried to go with DEA and some other places. And I started in real estate, and I started selling hunting ranches, and I loved it. Like, that's my jam. Hunting, you know that, but as going on, hunting is my jam. So that's what I love to do. And I was doing real estate, selling hunting properties, helping people out. It was amazing. So long story short, a friend of mine I worked with, he said, hey man, I need some help at one of my hunting ranches. I manage 2 hunting ranches, and I'd love for you to come out and help me. I was like, heck yes. So went to these 2 game ranches, big, beautiful places, gorgeous whitetail, helped him do AI and some other work. And I started guiding for him in a few years. Some people with a rep group in Vista Outdoors came in, and lo and behold, I was guiding them. They were testing some new stuff for Fusion, Federal Fusion, Bushnell, Savage. And we just started talking. They're like, hey, we need a Texas guy. I was like, I know someone. So that's how it happened. I was hired in the deer stand. It's been a great ride. And I'm now at Dead Air Silencers. I'm the regional manager here. I love it. I don't think I could ever leave. I love this job. It is amazing. We've got a really good core group of people, and it's awesome. So, I mean, that was short story, but that was a roundabout way to get there.
Very short. I think it did highlight something, though, that I bring up a lot to a lot of people is that, would you agree that I would say like 90% of the positions that I guess outside of like customer service or whatever, but a lot of the positions that are open in the firearms world don't come from online. They're not listed online. They're made at the Circle Bar at SHOT Show. They're made at NRA. They're made at a deer stand. Like, I think that a lot of people don't realize how much just being connected really pays off in this industry. I don't know if you found that to be true, but I feel like a lot of people or they work themselves into the position or just happen to end up there. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and it's kind of funny you say that because it is true. Because I'm hiring, I hired someone lately to help me out, and when I'm hiring, I actually want someone that knows the industry, because this industry is not like any other industry. Just like you just said, things and decisions are made on the side table or something like that, in the car going to the airport. Like, things are done because it's respect, and you're really trusting that other person. So that personal relationship means a lot, right? And it's funny, the guys at first, when they interviewed me to come on to the rep group, you're like, well, you don't have any sales experience in the industry and all this, and I'm selling $30 million in sales for farms and ranches and stuff. I'm in sales, I promise you. It's funny just because I brought that. I'm like, well, I've kind of sold a little bit, but they had that reservation of not hiring me because I was not in the industry. But that is true. It really is. It's hard to hire, and going back to what you're saying, I see it a lot, and actually that's kind of what I do too, but I don't want to not give a person a opportunity to come in and have a great job, but relationships are key.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Just something that I've found to be true the last few years, just kind of working in it, is I guess really about who you know and just being connected with people. You never know. I will say, like, this industry moves around a lot too. I see a lot of people changing brands throughout the year that I can't keep track of where they're at.
Sure.
Now.
Yeah.
Someone back to another company, so that can be interesting as well.
It is. People don't, and you kind of watch it on. I mean, honestly, it's the social media thing is a newer thing to me, and that's the way we're going. But you see it on social media, and it's like you see someone leaving or going. But what people don't realize is, with the firearms industry, things change a lot. And sometimes it is not up to you if that changes, and you just, you have to go along with it.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dead Air, let's talk all things Dead Air. Okay, first of all, you guys have the coolest culture, I think.
Thank you.
Icon in Mike Pappas. Like, it is what it is. The marketing, hands down the best. The patches, the muffler shop shirts. I mean, the live stream, right? So there's so much that, how do you guys pull all of that together and come up with some of these ideas? I know that's not like your wheelhouse, but I really want to know how someone pitches, hey guys, let's dress up as a brake shop and put mufflers and, matching shirts.
that you're talking about NRA this past year, and that was an awesome booth. I mean, we had it set up like a muffler shop all the way down. I went down to the Ace Hardware and got us the O'Reillys and got us some red rags to put in our pockets. It was epic. But our culture is we want to have fun. We're going to be professional. We're going to be respectful, but we want to have fun because that's what we want people to do. This is there's hard times out there and things can kind of get jumbled up. We want to have fun, and that's a big thing for our culture is, hey, let's not just throw it to the wall and see if it sticks, but let's kind of think, and you go back to that, let's think outside the box. Well, let's think of something different. What is it? Let's do something different and cool and funny and fun, and let's just do it. Have fun. We'll do the business part of it, but let's just have fun. So our marketing guys, Tony and Keith, and those guys are just amazing. They've got awesome brains. I couldn't think of that stuff. Just implement it. Let me do it. Let me run with it. But you implement it. You come up with that. But what else is cool? We've got a rolling list. If you think of something, they want to hear about it. That's what's so amazing about the company. If you've got a cool idea, let's spitball it. Let's try to see if it'll work. And if it will, let's go with it. It's like the belt buckle. I wear my Dead Air belt buckle every day. And they're like, well, that worked. Well, now we've got belt buckles. So that's going to be pretty cool. But just things, just different things. Just have fun with it.
Yeah. How come, okay, we did a Mike Pappas captured as Santa Claus. How come we haven't done Tony as the leprechaun?
Ooh. All right. So we need to do maybe a bad Santa or something. We need to do, wouldn't that be cool? We need to do something with Tony. That's for sure. He'd be a great leprechaun.
Yeah. So all of these things I think are stuff that where you're bringing up, like social media has changed. How have you seen kind of like the industry change, and how have you seen brands having to do different things that are not paid advertising, that are outside of the boundaries? Like, what have you seen like Dead Air kind of do differently than a lot of other companies?
We still have to do that kind of stuff too, but we've stepped away from a lot of that, paid stuff. You will see more of our people out on the road doing events, trying to get face to face with even the customer, because the end user is what matters. But our store people, we have to keep them trained up, but we have to do events to let people know, because it can get stagnant in the industry, right? And we know NFA stuff takes a while to do, so it's hard to put that money out there and buy something and have to wait for it. We understand that, because I was a buyer. I was an owner of Dead Air before I was at Dead Air. I was at another company, but so I believe in the brand. But it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. So we need to be out there and let people know, hey, we're customers too, and this is what you can do. But I think the main thing is getting out there and being with the people and showing them what we are and what we do, to be honest. And then we also, again, we just try to think outside the box. And I hate saying that sometimes because it's old and cliche, but just have fun with it. And we just try to be a little different.
Yeah. The shows that you guys go to, okay, can you spitball as fast as possible all the shows that you've been through for 2023 alone with Dead Air? Go.
SHOT Show, NRA, TriggerCon, Quiet in the Capitol. I think we're going to do, was there what was the Red October thing? Hang on a second. I've been to probably 15 events since the beginning of the year myself. But we have different regions, so those guys are going to all the stuff in Utah, and I'm down in the South. So anything Kansas and South, I cover and control that area. And then we've got the Florida area and East and West, and I've been to 15 events. But overall, I think we've been to like 30 something events this year.
Yeah, it's
big events. But and there's also store events, right? We've got all those store events that we go to, personal little stores in your area. That's why we do the lives to let you know where we're going to be at. But yeah, there's been a lot. Holy cow!
You don't want to think about how many weekends you just gave away, but
no, it's like we were talking. It's like I never sleep. You never sleep. It's how you have to get it done. It's and then with all the other hunting stuff that I do, I'm never home. But it's getting the people what they want.
Yeah. Okay, we'll dive into the whole second half of your life with BuckVentures, DBA. We'll talk about a lot of stuff with suppressors. Okay, because
yes.
I think the biggest seller for suppressors is getting them demoed, and that's been like a passion for me. I mean, I work with Tennessee Silencer. They're my SOT. They're awesome. They literally have the dead air mask and a lot of your other cans as demos. And lo and behold, Kenzie ends up with a dead air mask because she shot one damn gun. I'm like, damn it, sign me up.
You can't shoot that and not walk away with it.
No, that's how it should be. And then diving into the cans that you guys make, I know you have a ton of calibers and sizes and lengths, which we're going to dive heavily into. But you would say the Mask 22 is probably your like best seller can, yeah?
Yeah, Mask is actually our number one, and it has been for a long time. It's hard to beat that can. And look, I'm no fanboy here. I love our company. I will die for this company. I bleed dead air. But just being honest, that is like one of the best cans out there. It's hard to beat. So I'll just say that. And I'm the type, I think I said this last time, I had somebody come up to Dragon Man in Colorado Springs, and there's a bunch of people around, and he was asking about a certain can, and he's like, oh, you heard some things on the internet and all this, and it's like, that's why I don't get on a lot of the websites, because I will speak my mind. But instead of saying that, I said, hey, man, I'm not. He said, what do you have to say about that? I'm sorry. I says, nothing. Go shoot it. And he looks at me really weird, and he got mad. I was like, no, really, I want you personally, because you've never shot a silencer, I want you to go over there and shoot it. And when he got finished, he was like, wow, you didn't have to say a word. I was like, thank you. That's all I need to say. So, Yep. But anyway.
Why do you think it takes demoing for people to understand, like, what is the difference between shooting unsuppressed and suppressed?
TV, Hollywood. Everyone comes to the range and thinks that it's going to be a pin drop. It's going to be Hollywood. And we tell people the truth. Like, no, this is what it's going to sound like. There's people that do decibel ratings, which we do too, but we want the tone. What is that tone to the shooter's ear? When someone can actually hear that silencer on the gun in a certain round that they have picked out in their head that they want to shoot forever, and they hear it and they go, wow, that is truly different, especially when you have a smaller child, a new shooter, a female, whoever it may be. When they first hear that shot, it's like, wow, okay. And there's a lot of benefits to a silencer too, and we'll get into that too, I'm sure. But you have to demo the can. You can't just have a friend or a buddy say, oh, I love this can. It sounds different to everyone's ear. Everyone has a different tone with a silencer.
Yeah. The everything that changes too is like people don't understand too. Like, okay, if you have a 30 cal can, you put it on say like a 5.56 when it was meant for 7.62. I'm just spitballing an example.
Yes. Yeah.
It's going to be very different too because it's not for that caliber. It's not specific for that caliber, so it's still going to be louder than you think it is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because you have a multi kind of caliber can there. But understanding the cans and what they're made for, what they're dedicated to, what guns they're supposed to be on, plays a big role as well.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, you have a .46 or a 4.5 cal can, and you're trying to put a 22 bullet through it. Whenever you neck that down, that bore size, like the Mask, it's made for 22. It's going to have a nicer sound. You've got a bigger bore opening, and trying to put that little caliber through there, you're going to have a little bit different sound, right? It's just exactly what you're saying. People just need to understand that those cans are meant to do different things. Some can do more than one, but that jack of all trades, master of none, right? We want to make sure you get the right can. That's what we do. That's kind of what we really strive to do great. All of our sales guys, our whole team, we want to know what calibers, guns, like what do you want to achieve? Because we want to set you with the right one. We just don't want to say, oh, this is perfect for you. We want to set you with the right one. So we take pride in that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about setting you with the right one, the long
Yeah.
form of very, very step one basics before you ever even go buy a suppressor. What do you need to decide on first?
I always start here at the gun. So you want to start with the gun and the calibers with a Z, because not most people are just gonna have one gun to shoot it on, right? Most buyers, what we're seeing now, first-time buyers are going for multiple calibers. So you want to see if there's a silencer that can fit that, or one or two to fit that. But find out what calibers you want to shoot, and then you have to go down here to the mounting part. How are you going to mount it? Do you want to direct thread it, quick attach, 3-lug, right? There's different mounting options. And then third, on your silencer, you pick the silencer that you want. Do a lot of research on that, but the number one thing I would say to people is go demo it first. But start at your calibers, because you want the correct caliber specific cans that you can. Because dedicating one caliber to a certain, one can to a caliber is key. It will sound better than a multi-cal, if you will. Those dedicated cans sound a little nicer.
Yeah. Okay, so choosing the can for the gun. So whether it's hunting, maybe competition, maybe just learning, maybe it's just fun, or murdering squirrels in your backyard.
There's a season for that. It's fine.
Yeah. Now, I've heard a lot about chemo. I feel like that's kind of taken over the world. So can you talk about the different attachments? I know you just listed them off, but what do people need to understand about these and how to put them on, threads, all that good stuff that they have questions about?
Perfect. Let's start with the number one, which is going to be just your direct thread. Most people think of that. You go buy the silencer, most silencers are going to be direct thread. That means it's going to directly thread on a bolt gun higher than like a 22 or a 223 is going to be 5/8 24 thread. Usually that's industry standard. Could be different if you're with another manufacturer. It's just going to directly thread on to your gun. What most people don't do, though, is when they thread that thing on, they just hand tighten it. You want to use the wrench with that silencer and go ahead and umph it down. Make sure it's tight.
Okay.
So umph it. Yeah, it's all about the umph. Just get a little bit. It's good. Good and tight. So make sure it's tight, that it's not going to come off the gun, because if you just hand tighten it, it'll back off, and it doesn't matter what silencer it is, what mount it is. If it's just a direct thread mount, it will walk off. So make sure you use the wrench and tighten it down. That's your number one, is just the direct thread. That's the easiest. But a lot of people, like you said, know about, this is the new Mojave, by the way. Let's get that guy there.
Talk about.
Yeah, that's a good guy. So this is our chemo mount. So this is more of a, if you will, fast attach. So what you would do, it's just going to come off like that. So you start, you have to have a way to mount it. So you have to have a muzzle device on your gun. Direct thread would just be directly threading on the threads at the end of the gun, right? This has to have a muzzle device. That muzzle device is going to key lock onto the can is going to key lock onto the muzzle device. There's a shoulder here, so when it tightens down and stays concentric. And there's no pins, there's no tabs, there's no locks on there. It just ratchets down and locks on. And all of the work's up here. And there's only 3 moving parts. A lot of competitors out there have way more, 10 or 12 moving parts, so a lot less to go wrong here. And this has been a very sought after type of system. So the chemo system, you're just going to, like I said, you're just going to drop it on. It's going to find a place. It can only go on one way. Just like that. You can't mess up. Seriously, I can turn my head like this, and it finds its hole, right? So it's going to go down, and you do the work up here. It ratchets on, and it's on there tight.
Nice.
We have a lot of LE military contracts on with a can like with this setup, and it's well liked because of that. They can go from one of their guns to another gun or something, but chemo has been a really big seller for us, and we want to play well with everybody. We want, if you've got a different can, that's awesome. We like good silencers. Keep that silencer and keep using it. Try our muzzle devices. Try our accessories, because this will change your life.
That's true. Now, what are the best? I actually don't know the answer. What are the best type of gloves to use around suppressors?
Oh gosh, I don't know. We use a lot of mitts. I do use some gloves. I forget which glove I'm using right now, but I've actually got a set. Say it again.
Oh, are you talking about oven mitts?
Close. Yeah, close. Yeah, mitts. We have Dead Air has some wraps now, but there's some gloves out there. I see a lot of people using welding gloves. They're just hard to kind of do things with it. But honestly, I put a can on and I dedicate it, and that's it. It's going to stay on. I don't need to take it off. But if someone does, let it cool down and just get a tactical glove is fine.
Yeah.
You know,
What were you
it'll be
saying?
fine.
Specific model glove that you wear?
I don't even know. I think I'm using the mechanics gloves actually. I've got a thick pair of mechanics gloves.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
That the last mount that we have, because 3-lug is pretty straight across the board. I mean, a 3-lug's a 3-lug. It's got 3 lugs. It goes down over like a Scorpion or an MP5 or something, and it's got a spring. It's spring loaded, pops up, and it locks into place. But this is our Xeno mount. I'm going to get this guy down here like this. There we go. This is actually a left-handed threaded mount. So kind of like the Chemo, it works off of a shoulder, but this is exterior thread. So you've got a brake. There's no timing because it's an Omni brake, but there's still a shoulder here with external threads. And what you're doing, you're just going to take your hub out of the back, and you're going to put the adapter here, and it's a left-handed thread. What's cool about the left-handed thread? It's that fast. You hand tighten it, and that's it, because you're rifling and the barrel's right-handed. It will tighten this up as you go. You don't have to worry about it really coming off of there. But when you take this off, the cool thing, you take it off, it's right hand. You're tightening your muzzle device, so your muzzle device is not stuck in your can.
Oh, that's
so that is a cool thing about the Xeno. And the Xeno was one of those that we came out with about a year or so ago, maybe a little longer. But that's a cool mount. Every one of my hunting rifles has a Xeno on it, because I can go from my 300 Win Mag to my 6.5 PRC or something like that.
What? I thought you had dedicated cans, Christian.
Well, if you've got dedicated cans for all your guns, and it's like my hunting, I want to go back with one can. I've got one titanium can, and I've got some stainless cans, but if I'm hunting, I want to use my titanium can because it's lightweight. So,
okay, let's get into the weeds that might not be as important, but a compliment that I had from my SOT that I was really happy about is when I got my mask, they're like, hey, you're probably the only customer that we have that needs to really know this because you shoot a lot, is that you're going to want to clean the 22 can. The other suppressors, obviously, are, well, I'll let you talk about that. You're the expert. But most cans, you don't have to, especially rifle cans. But the 22, maybe. But again, it depends on how much you shoot. So, Christian, how often are you thinking about cleaning our suppressors?
So let's hit that center stage first. Let's hit rifle cans. Rifle cans, you really don't have to shoot unless you shoot like these. I've never cleaned these rifle cans, and I guarantee they've got 20, 25,000 rounds through them. If you see them getting heavy, then clean it. Or if you get a huge deviation in point of impact shift, clean it. The 22 can, yes, clean it. After about 2,000 or 3,000 rounds, I would say just check it, because what happens is that 22 is really dirty, right? 22 is known to be dirty. So all I do, I don't even take it apart. I dunk it in, like, I use super hot water, and I'm a frog lube guy, but use whatever you want. So use your best stuff that you like, but I'll dunk it for about 30 minutes or so, and I'll agitate it, and I'll take it out, and I'll redo the solution. I'll do it again, and then just make sure it's dry. Especially, you got to dry it out really well, because this could be a pipe bomb, right? If it has any type of petroleum-based product in it, like CLP or anything like that, make sure you rinse it out and dry it very well.
What the hell?
Make sure. You know what I'm saying, because there's petroleum in there. You want to go boom.
Okay, what about sonic cleaner?
Okay, good question. Sonic cleaner. You can clean them in a sonic cleaner, but what's the metal made out of? Like your mask. Let's say your mask. You got to make sure to take that sleeve off, because that sleeve is made out of titanium. You don't want to put titanium in a hydrosonic cleaner. The baffles, yes, you definitely can, and that's what's the dirtiest. But just make sure whatever can you're using out there to know your metal, not to put in a hydrosonic cleaner if it's titanium. But by all means, a lot of my parts are cleaned in a hydrosonic.
Okay, so we covered rifle cans, covered 22 cans.
Pistol cans. Pistol's very dirty too. 9mm, 45 can get pretty darn dirty. I think I've gone 5,000 or 6,000 rounds before I see anything really get gunky, and it just depends on the ammo too. What ammo are you shooting? I think the last one I cleaned was around the 5,000 or 6,000 mark, and again, I just take it apart, take the baffles out, put it in a hydrosonic cleaner, rinse it off, put it back together, make sure it's dry, get compressed air, dry it out, good to go.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Right.
you don't have to clean every can. That's a misconception. You don't have to clean every can.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about. You're an expert. What
Yeah.
I want to know, and I found
Okay.
out. Let me tell you a story real quick. So I went to Athlon Outdoors Rendezvous, and it was an event for writers. I don't think I told you this, but I didn't put it out anywhere. But it's funny. So Zach from Rugged Suppressors decided to check a loaded gun and all of his suppressors, which I didn't know. So I do want to talk about traveling with them. That was fun. And then the very next day, Caleb from Taurus, or maybe not the next day, a couple days later, he checks a loaded revolver. Neither of them get fined, so they just had the best airport security in the world, I guess.
Of course.
Let's talk about two things, because I think everyone, including people in the industry, need to remember this. Let's talk about traveling with firearms, okay? And let's talk
Traveling with firearms.
with suppressors, because are they different? What kind of paperwork do you need? Dive in.
Okay, good question. So I will travel with a firearm and silencers together, usually. I always have my silencers in a bag or a box of some sort inside that rifle or pistol case, right? Mm-hmm. For the silencer, you're going to have to treat it as a firearm. You do have to check it. No matter if it's alone or with a gun, you still have to check it. I just like to put it in a different bag, kind of away, not on the gun. I take it off, and it doesn't matter, though. It's just like a firearm. They're still going to swab it. They're still going to run it. So make sure if you've got your paperwork, excuse me, I'm so sorry. If you've got your paperwork, your forms, your tax stamp and all that, have a copy of that either on your phone. But I laminate mine and put them in a folder, and I put it in the back of my box, my case behind the phone. And I know it's always going to be there. I'll tape it to there just so if there's any hiccups. But I've never been asked personally. This is me. I've never been asked for any of my paperwork. They just want to make sure that, when they swab it, it hasn't been used or in a crime, whatever like that. They put it through a system, whatever they do. And then some haven't even checked it, to be honest. They just said, oh, okay, it's whatever. If I go with just silencers, a lot of times I don't even get checked.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But you have to treat it as a firearm. You have to. So it has to be checked at the airport.
Declare it checked, hard case, locks, all that good stuff.
Hard case and lock, yep, treat it as a firearm. So any case, if there's, usually this is how they are, if there's 4 holes on that case, you better have 4 locks. Because if they can just get their hand in there, a lot of times they'll do it as a no-go. And it depends on the airport. So just don't take the chance. Just go ahead and get the locks for it.
I also tell people, if there are any locks that go missing, get damaged, or get cut, have extra locks, with you in your suitcase or with you in your carry-on, whatever. So that way, if, something like that happens, you don't have to go run to a store or leave the airport. Just throw another one on there.
That's right.
For people that don't fly with firearms, too, I think you want to cover that. I do it all the time. It's a freaking nightmare. But talking about, hey, number 1 rule, guys, unload your fucking firearms.
Unload the gun. So whenever I'm traveling, I always take my bolt out and the mag, and it's separate, and I usually try to have a cutout for it, but it's always unloaded because you can't have ammunition with it either. It has to be in the original packaging or better, but I'll always take those and spread them out. I'll never have ammunition with the silencer or the gun. That's in a different package. That's in a different box or in my luggage, right? But yeah, make sure it's unloaded. Inspect your stuff.
I don't understand how that happened. I do and I don't, right? It's that's our one responsibility, because these airlines too, the thing with the loaded and unloaded, right? It's our responsibility. We sign unloaded firearms on the document and put it in there. But
right.
I don't even know how to handle those firearms, right? So say it gets flagged, now you're going to get called. I just wouldn't even want to be that person that responsibly had a loaded gun in there for someone else to mess with or fidget with or something happen, right? Guys,
yeah,
that. And especially you already mentioned, but I want to harp on it. I have some people that just leave their mags loaded. I don't see it as major issue, but I do like to unload all my mags. Like I said, original, or like you said, original box, manufacturer's box if you can, keeping it separate and not, they could just take a few rounds off. There's so many what ifs that I just don't want to be responsible for, that I wouldn't know if 2 rounds off, a half shot 30 round mag goes missing, but I'm going to decide at some point.
Yeah. We get in a rush. You asked the question earlier, let's spitball how many events. You go from event to event, and you're having to go, take different calibers. Some events we don't take certain calibers sometimes, or we may be out of that ammo at that time, or whatever. You have to inspect it, though. You've got to take your time to do that. Just take a couple minutes, because it will save you a lot of headache.
Yeah. I don't know anyone that's gotten fined yet. Any horror stories?
Yeah, I didn't get fined. I did, but it got thrown out. It's not funny. It's not funny, Kenzie. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. Yeah, I was leaving the state police, and I got hired my first contract job, and I was going to training, and I get to the airport in New Orleans, and I had my go bag as my backpack, right? No guns, no knives, everything was good and checked. I left a loaded mag in one of those pockets that are hidden, that you're supposed to be hidden. And yeah, thrown to the ground. They just thought I was the terrorist, right? No fly for 2 years. No, missed my flights, almost missed training. But I had to go talk to the judge twice, and he finally threw it out just because I was still active as a trooper, and it was a long-term thing. Like it was not fun. So check your stuff, take your ammo out, mags out, bolts out. If you got rifles, just get it correct. Yeah, get it correct. 08, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Yep.
Meet you, terrorist. I did tell Zach that he was a criminal for a while, so yeah.
He is though.
Yeah, so that was good.
I like him.
He has good people, super good people, and we all stayed. So this is like days after the event. We all like went around the Tetons in Yellowstone. There was like Karen from Magpul. She tried to go through with a knife from TSA, and then she got so lucky. She went back. I know. We were all criminals, but she tried to go back out, and actually they had her suitcase there, hadn't loaded up yet, so she was able to throw it in her bag. But I'm like, geez, so we got guns, we got knives, no more just red flagging the whole Wyoming airport.
Everything. Yeah. Everything. Come on.
But I felt very safe. I'm like, this is the safest airport to be in.
You're probably right. Yes.
Yeah. So all of this stuff that you do too, with Dead Air, traveling and all that, you also are National Pro Staff at CVA, Pro Staff Leader for BuckVentures. So this is like still a full-time job, but then you have all these other side jobs. Tell me how you got all of that.
So like I said, I'm such a big hunter, and that's what I've been doing for Dead Air, is trying to line all this up and use it as hunting things. What can we to give back to the hunter? How can we help, right? So as a hunter, I got with a group called BuckVentures, and it's Christian based. They're all godly men. It's amazing. We fellowship, but we love to hunt. So I have a group of guys that I kind of not oversee, but they're under me. And then we just have about 250, 300 pro staffers that go out, film their hunts. They love to hunt. So I got involved in that about 5 or 6 years ago. Met some amazing people. We still go, 2 weeks I'll be in Colorado elk hunting with one of those guys, a good friend of mine now. We share a lot of good times, but we go all over hunting, and we try to film all this, and we've got 26 episodes, I think, on the Outdoor Channel, Sportsman's Channel. So I'll have 2 from last year that'll be on the My Outdoor TV, a part of that. So I'll have my 2 episodes, 1 mule deer and some whitetail and elk that I got last year. But anyway, so I do all of that. I film hunts. So again, I kind of know what it takes for the hunting side, for silencers, if you will, because that's what we're talking about, and in setups and stuff. And then while I was there, I really got to love the CVA rifles, which I use CVA and Bergara. The CVA rifle's just been amazing to me. So I use them as demo guns. I hunt with them. I've got 8 or 10 of them. And I love them. So Tony Smotherman, him and I have become really close friends, and Rick Taylor, great friends, and they picked me up for the pro staff. So now everywhere I go, I'm going to have a CVA in my hand just because I trust them. And now my son's 8, he'll be 9. He killed his first deer last year with his CVA 350 Legend with a Dead Air. And so that's all we shoot, CVAs. Amazing product, and a lot of people are going to them. But anyway, so now I'm a part of all that too.
That's awesome. No, it's amazing.
And that's non-paid. That is non-paid. That is straight out of my time, my pocket. It's what I love. So it's, that's it.
Well, no, I get it. I mean, as a pro, I guess you could say pro shooter or whatever, but it's like the brands that I work with are brands that I've used, I bought, I love, I trust them to work. And it's been great to have partnerships with those companies too, because you believe in their stuff.
Sure. That's right.
And hunting with those. So it's funny because the CVA, oh my gosh, thank you. So you put me in touch with Tony, who's like the most Southern gentleman.
Oh my gosh.
He has 400 jobs. I don't know how he does it. Very
Oh,
accomplished.
amazing, man. Oh, amazing, man. The stories that man has. He has done it. He's done it.
I can't wait to meet him in person. Hopefully at SHOT Show.
Yeah.
But they sent me the Cascade XT to review for Athlon Outdoors and 6.5 Creedmoor. So that's going to be
Nice.
the one that I'll do an article on. And I finally unpacked it because I'm finally home for a minute. And it's so cool.
Right.
I like the camos that they have.
Yes, that is this was one of their black tactical, because this is their short barrel, but this was a black tactical I really liked. But that new Realtree Wave and the Realtree stuff they've got amazing pattern, and they've got other patterns, but I use Realtree. They have some amazing patterns.
That's awesome. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's neat that you do all that. How did you teach yourself to like run a camera and do editing and all the things that, I mean, you didn't go to school for it.
No, trial and error, just like we've had all of these problems for the last few days trying to get this podcast. It's just, I'm not a technical person. I'm not. So trial and error. I bought my first Canon G30 camera and I self-film. I've had some help here and there with friends at the end of the kill and trying to get all the shots and the angles, but I self-film, and there's way better people than me that are on our pro staff. These guys have mastered it. But the amount of time that I have is just almost the day of the hunt, right? So I just train and practice while I'm in the tree, or I try to do it at home. But I self-film with a main camera and some tactic cams. I was using GoPros, so whatever I can get my hands on just to get all of those crazy angles, right? So I've probably made some very big mistakes and learned from them, because there's been some wonderful kills on camera and I just didn't have the right shot. So we just couldn't use the footage. It was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Okay, that's actually really tough to hear.
Yeah. But that's how we learn.
Yeah. But nowadays, I mean, I tell people this is like the power on your phone. And I know the phone's not the best device, but I mean, the amazing thing that we have, I've seen the tree camera things that now wrap around. They're like a tree tripod thing. I don't even know what they're called. I now have a shot cam that like attaches to your scope and mounts.
Yes, I use those. I use them. I love them.
GoPro. So there's really no excuse in terms of if you wanted to do something in this world and create content, like it's there at your fingertips.
You can do it with a Tacticam, wide lens, no lens, just regular. They've got new ones with zoom. If you're a GoPro person, you can do it with the GoPros as well, because they do the same thing. So you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, for sure. What's like your favorite story, I guess, in terms of hunting and going out there? Like, what's your one big game, like, bucket list item that you're really excited that you did?
Probably, it was not even using a firearm. It was last year, my elk hunt, the biggest bull I've ever seen in my life. I was in the backcountry of Colorado. We got there by horseback, dropped tent, 9 days in a tent with 4 other guys doing the same thing. Bad weather. I just had knee surgery. I had knee surgery 2.5 months before this trip, and I mean, I was training hard. And I remember the lady who did my physical therapy was like, "Okay, what's your goal?" I need to be on the mountain in 2.5 months. What? Holy cow! So I made it. I wound up shooting a bull at 58 yards, and we thought it was a perfect shot. It was on film. It was a filmed hunt. That's what we had went there for. It was awesome. I got sick that day. I couldn't see out of my right eye. My whole right side of my face went white. I couldn't see. It was crazy. I'd never had mountain sickness, but I guess that's what it was. But we trailed that thing for 2.5, 3 days over miles and just never found that bull. Even though I didn't take that bull, I didn't bring it home. It was probably the best hunt that I've ever been on in my life.
When that happens, like, you don't know the result. You don't know.
It's tough. You don't know. That bull went so far, and they're big animals, right? But after watching the footage and stuff, I just shot him a little low and back, and there's nothing there. It's a void. So you'll get blood, and they'll live, and they're great. So I'm sure he lived through it, and he was fine. But I thought it was so close. The camera guy thought it was a hard shot. I thought it was a hard shot. It was just, again, we didn't find it, and I hate that. It makes me sick just to say that, because it's a great animal, right? But it was the most humbling hunt, just being in that hard type of hunting, but being able to experience 9 days of that. It was amazing.
No, it happens. Misses suck. I remember growing up duck hunting, and I I now have lived through this, not trauma, but it's so funny because I ended up with my dad and my grandpa, and like I was a little kid, I had a little 20 gauge, I still have that shotgun. I would shoot, and they're like, "Oh yeah, good job." Looking back, I'm like, bullshit. I didn't hit anything. Like this was all grandpa shots, dad shots. I'm like, there's no, I don't know. Could be wrong, but I don't know.
There was always a shot behind your shot, and it fell.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm looking back, or we would all shoot at the same time. So it's like, great job, Kenzie. I'm like, bullshit. I think even as a kid, I knew that and would say that. It's kind of funny.
Oh my gosh.
The misses teach you a lot.
Yeah.
And even winners that don't admit that they've missed, like, yeah, like that's the name of the game.
Yes, big time. That's, I mean, again, that's the failures are where you learn.
Yeah. What's something on your list that you haven't hunted yet or gotten an opportunity to do?
I think probably the next hunt I'd really like to go do. I've killed, bear, mule deer, elk. I have taken some elk before, but I think the next big thing I want to try to go do is going to be either caribou or a moose.
Okay.
The big guys. Yeah, and then of course you got to do Africa. I want to do Africa, but that's going to be a little later. But I think a moose or a caribou.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
I never saw a moose in the Tetons in Yellowstone the whole week I was there, so I'm pretty proud.
I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them up there before, but they're so huge. I was going through Colorado one time with another rep of mine a couple years ago, and riding in the truck, was like, stop! Look at these big, huge mooses. Like, holy cow! It's the first time I've ever laid eyes on in the real life, and standing on the hoof. It was crazy.
Awesome. So I don't mean to switch back gears, but I did want to talk about this before we get off here, is the new Mojave 9, because I saw...
Thank you.
I'm recording this now, but I know it came out. It's been a big release. Can you talk about it?
Yes, like we are here, like, whenever we tried this first, we're now down in Austin, and in the morning we're going to be at a shoot at Capitol Armory. We have a private event, and we released this can at SHOT Show, but we didn't get it out to market until just recently. But the Mojave 9 is our first 3D printed can, and what we did, we took titanium and we manufactured this can 3D printed, and it's not cut, right? It's manufactured, so you can do more stuff inside. And there's a different baffle system inside. We're calling Triskelion, and it's a patented baffle system, and it's more of an acoustic design, and it lets the gases and the air and everything move through the baffle system around the edges through some porting. And it gives you less spit and less back pressure in the face as the shooter. So that's been a really big thing, but it's so lightweight. And it'll do 9mm, 350 Legend, 300 Blackout, and that's in short configuration. I have another piece that will be for long configuration. But it's super, super lightweight. You don't feel the can whenever it's on the gun, except for right at the gun. That's where we wanted all the weight, was next to the front of the gun. So you don't get the downward dip that you always think of a pistol can. Amazing on MP5s. There's a couple calibers you can shoot. Like I said, 350 Legend, 300 Blackout, and 9mm for now, what we've tested and really approved for. But the Mojave 9 is a really cool can, and a lot of people that have got to shoot it really say the same thing. It's a really good tone. It's a good impulse, and it feels good whenever you're shooting. It's got a soft impulse.
That's awesome.
We're happy.
About is end cap design too. Like, how often are you swapping end caps? Do you have to for different calibers if you're changing guns? I don't know if you want to cover that too.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you're shooting a 30 cal can silencer. You've got it on a 223. Change that end cap to a 223 end cap. Just remember to change it back if you're shooting 30 cal, because you're gonna have a nicer hole in it whenever you finish up, and you'll do it once. But
Christian and blame him now.
Just call me. Make sure to change your end caps back. So what I do is I take a paint pen and I put dots for the calibers that I know, or even just write what it is, so I know what that is. I do, because I will forget. That's why.
Keep going. That's why.
That's why 30 cal cans, I really don't change them a lot. But if I'm shooting 223, that is the one caliber I will change. I'll change that end cap to a 223 end cap just to help out on the sound.
I laugh because I have my mags loaded with like blue painter's tape, and it'll say like 300 Blackout or whatever for those. But even though I could look at them, for my 3-gun matches, I wrote like long range, because it's like $1 a round, 77 grain, that I don't want to be shot on like burner, and I'll write burner ammo like 55 grain. It's just funny because that shit's important.
you have to label stuff sometimes. And I do, like on the shoot tomorrow, I'll have blue painter's tape written with certain things, like we're going to black out 223 and separate them, certain things. You just want to try to minimize the chaos.
Yeah, for sure. Before we leave too, I know you already
Yeah.
So pretend like you didn't tell me this. I got to hear your best Mike Pappas story.
Here we go.
Can't.
You're not gonna let me get away with this, are you?
No, that's been on my list.
Okay. So when I first met Pappas, was at one of our meetings, and I hadn't seen him and talked to him before, but a lot of people talk to Mike, but to know him, he is just like an original, genuine dude, right? He's an awesome guy. So we became friends after I've been here a few years, right? And he does not like talking. Well, he loves vehicles, but he's not a Ford guy, I can tell you that. So we go to an event in Texas, and he gets in, he looks, and he's like, oh gosh, is this Ford going to even start? That's funny, Mike. Well, the next week, he goes home after the event. The next week, my truck, the rear end goes out, so I have to get it towed to the station down in town. And here I am, like, what do I do? So I'm walking down the road, and who calls me? Mike Pappas calls me. Hey, what are you doing? I'm walking down the street, Mike. Wait, what? Yeah, I'm walking down the street. What are you doing? So I put him on FaceTime, and he's like, I told you shouldn't have drove a Ford. So not, do you need help? Not whatever I can do, just like, well, I told you so. Good luck. And just, that's it. I'm walking down the road. So I guess that's what good friends are for.
And he hangs up.
He just hangs up. Yeah. Just hangs up. He did text me that night and said, I'm thinking about you. I hope everything's good. No, I'm fine. A lot of money later and a new rear end of my Ford.
God. It's funny, as at the rendezvous, I was told to stop filming afterwards, which I knew that was fine because he was about to go into one of his lovely stories. But I took a video because it was like 12 people wrapped around him. And I'm like, there's nobody in the firearms industry that really does captivate an audience like that man does. That's all I'm saying.
He is such a good dude. I mean, he's like family now, but he's a good dude. Yep. Yeah. Good man.
Well, Christian,
he has changed the industry for sure for us. So, sorry.
No, that's well said. Where can people find you guys at some of the upcoming events before SHOT Show, or is this kind of towards the end of the season for you guys?
No, so we're going to be at Capital Army shoot tomorrow in Austin if you want to come out to try the new Mojave. But look at Suppress Fest. Look at CanCon coming up in Savannah. I'll be there for that one. There's a couple other ones, but always watch the Friday live because we're going to tell you where we're going to be. Info at Dead Air Silencers. Go to our website and sign up for the email blast because that'll give you, if you're looking for accessories or something, it'll tell you when it comes available, or new swag and new soft goods. That's really what we do well too. So we got new stuff that always come available, so make sure to check that out. And then, of course, Instagram, Facebook, we're always going to have something that you can see where we're going to be at.
Awesome. Perfect. And then where can people find you to follow your BuckVentures, your CVA shooting, and all of that? What's your Instagram?
Instagram is civilized_savage33 for Instagram, and then my name for Facebook.
Perfect. Christian,
YouTube, sorry about that. I put some training stuff on my YouTube channel. Dead Air has our YouTube channel if you need to know something about training, but also I have mine where I do personal training just on how to and what's and all that stuff. So, yeah, thanks.
Perfect. Yes. Thanks for your time. I'm excited to hang out with you guys soon.
Yep.
I'm excited that just to work with Tony as well. And if anyone ever wants to shoot this mask, I've got more cans apparently coming. But Dead Air is where it's at. I had a ton of fun getting to learn more. And I will say this real quick. I shot some Beretta of Mike's. Do you know what he brought to the rendezvous? Because I couldn't even tell you.
I'll ask and I'll get with you on it. I will let you know.
It was
He'll know.
He will. The magazine unloaded in a secret button. I'm not even kidding. It looked like a screw. It was very cool.
I'm going to have to find out what that was.
Yeah, none of us had shot one before, and I couldn't even tell you what it was. So, oops. But
he's got some super cool guns. Yes.
All right, Christian, go have fun this weekend. Thanks for redoing the podcast, even though nobody knows that except for these people.
We did it.
Yep.
We did it.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.